Let's move on to Barcelona Atleti. And interesting, João Felix comes back to play one of his former clubs now. But let's hear from the striker.
You seem happier here in Barcelona. You seem like 3 goals in Champions League. You know, you have put very fine games in the LaLiga as well. What has made the difference personally for you?
I don't know. Here is the club that since I was young, I always want to play. I always watch them on the TV during the last 10, 15 years. So yeah, it's like a dream come true, and when you had the dream and you finally achieve, I think you become more happy, So yeah, I think it was because of that.
Portugal was a team that played perhaps middle closer to your own goal. Atletico was that kind of team. Here you play closer to the opponent's goal. How do you feel personally to that? What's the style that you like the most?
For sure, this one. Me and every player. If you ask every player, if you ask the players from Atletico too, they will prefer to play more time on the attack. For sure. If they don't assure that, they are lying. But of course, every player wants to attack, wants to have the ball and to score goals.
So João Felix is happy, but Stewart, let's start with you. The team has some serious injury issues now. Gavi and Pedri both out of that midfield. They are sitting behind Atleti right now. What's Barcelona's kind of short-term and long-term prognosis, if you will, when you look at the team and all that Xavi's dealing with, Stewart?
Well, they've got, obviously, as you said, some injury problems. But having watched them play over the last few matches, they just lack that continuity, that fluidity that they once had. They're starting games too slowly. They're not got the understanding in certain areas. They're not playing off. They're playing off the cuff, but they're not playing with instinct at the moment. And so everything takes a little bit longer to find that pass. They're not quite making the right pass for the right runs. I'm not seeing the best of Lewandowski. I'm not sure we're seeing the best of João Felix, although he's happy with what he's been doing. If you're a player of his quality or supposed quality, you've got to affect the game. If you're a creative player playing in that role on the left-hand side and coming in to join the front player, you've got to be better than he's been. And I could say that about several of the attacking players who play in behind Lewandowski and several of the midfield players. I think it's good that they've got De Jong back into the side to try and control the game. And he will do that. He'll switch the play. He picks out good passes. But overall, I've been disappointed with Barcelona, both as with their team individually and as a team, and their lack of fluidity and their lack of understanding of where the next pass might be. Something that you always expected Barcelona to do so easily and so quickly.
Yeah, no doubt about it. Rob, when you look at Barcelona, what do you see?
I'm not seeing a Barcelona that plays in the traditional tippy-tappy style that Xavi played in when he was a great player at the club. He's been getting a bit of stick over here in Spain for the way Barcelona are playing, as Stewart said there. I think it's 6 times this season they've conceded the first goal. In most of the matches, they've come back and they've turned the game around, and they're only 3rd, 4th place, so joint with Atletico in 3rd place at the moment. So they're very much in the running. They are playing with a handicap that they can't go out there and they can't buy players. They can't splash the cash like they used to. They've had a whole glut of injury problems. And those are the excuses, and the fans have been on their back and they're playing up the mountain. They're not playing at the new camp these days. So they've got a lot going against them. So it's not particularly a vintage Barcelona team, but they have done brilliantly with the players that they've got there as well. It's not so pleasing on the eye. It's interesting listening to João Felix there. It was a very honest interview that he was giving, and I think he's quite enjoying playing. He's only scored the 1 La Liga goal, but he's playing against his former club this weekend. Griezmann will be in opposition for Atletico Madrid, so that understandably over here is what the Spanish press are honing in on. João Felix against Griezmann, which one will get the revenge against their former club?
Yeah, Rob, let's talk Atleti because they just qualified out of their group in the Champions League. They're 1 point ahead of Barca in the standings here right now. When you look at Griezmann in particular, he's been outstanding. What do you make of Atleti? Stewart.
Well, Atleti, I think, have been good in the games that I've seen. They can change their style. They're still fairly good defensively, although I've seen them be counter-attacked quite easily at times. We saw them in the 2 games ago where they realised that they had plenty of width out wide, so they got cross after cross after cross in the box where Morata was trying to get on the end of him. Missed some big chances. Other games where the opposition tried to stop the crosses coming in, there's been more room through the middle. That's when Griezmann starts to find those little bits of space, those little spaces, and he can then find the next pass to Morata. the midfield. Koke playing as the holding midfield player is looking to dictate the game again, as he did 2 or 3 years ago and did for so long, where his last season he didn't play quite so well. Barrios is a good addition in midfield. He can pick out a pass as well. You know, Llorente, when he's playing as a right wing back or on the right hand side, he'll make forward runs. So Atleti look a good side at the moment. It's whether the manager still allows them to play the expensive game in the big matches. And that's what I think at times he needs to do. He's got to get the balance right. And if he gets the balance right, and I know Rob believes this, that they've got every chance of really challenging for the title this year.
Okay, let's get into that. They're 4 points off. They're 4 points off of Real Madrid. Rob, why do you think they're going to be able to contend for a title here again?
They've got a game in hand as well. They had a game against Seville called off because of the bad weather over here. So many would expect them to win that. So then you take that to 1 point. I think they're the most mature team in La Liga at the moment. They're not really carrying any kids, as Stewart said. Barrios has come through. Wonderful little play called Riquelme has just made his Spanish debut as well. He cried. He couldn't believe that he got the Man of the Match award the other night in the Champions League game. They're doing brilliantly in Europe. They're out of Europe last year at this stage. No team has scored more goals than them in the Champions League. And as you look to the bench, he's got either-ors in virtually every position in the team. He's been missing his 3 central defenders at large parts of this season, but you've not noticed that because defensively they've been sound. And if you look at the bench, he's got the likes of Azpilicueta and Soyuncu, who he signed from the Premier League. So they've recruited well. They don't have any players that you could say are past the sell-by date. They're still in their prime. They don't have any players that they carry in like Barcelona that are coming through that have got the better days ahead. So I always look at the ages of the players, and they've got the players in their peak years, in their prime years, and they've got, you know, the most experienced manager, and nobody likes to play against Atletico Madrid.
And ESPN Bet app does have plus 750 right now for the future for Atleti to win it all. Right now, Madrid is a massive favorite at minus 200. Some little value there, Rob. I know you're not a betting man, as you said, but that's good stuff.
It would be my tip if I was a betting man. I think Atletico, that they've got it to go the distance this season. They're the long distance runners.
Okay, well, we'll stay with you, Rob, real quick, and we'll finish with Stewart. In this game, though, Barcelona is even money, and as you mentioned, this is not at Camp Nou. This is up in Montjuic, up on the mountain there. They're even money to win. Atleti is plus 250. Serious value on the team from the Spanish capital. What do you make of the matchup? Who do you like?
For me?
Yes.
Do you know, I'm going to sit on the fence. It's a draw. I think Barcelona are playing well. They're in a good moment. And I think Atletico Madrid will not be upset if they come here and they go back to the capital with a draw. But as I say, in the long run, I think Atletico Madrid maybe have more in them than Barca and Atletico Madrid. But this weekend, I just found, from a commentator's point of view, I want a high-scoring draw with lots of red cards. But that's me being greedy.
Lots of red cards too. Cleats up and goals. Stewart, what do you like here in this match? Knowing the odds for that draw is plus 260. So where are you at here?
Well, I think Barcelona will dominate the ball, but without creating too much, because I think they've been passing it too slowly. And I talked about some of those players that are playing alongside Lewandowski, not playing at their best at the moment, not being at their most creative. And I think Atletico Madrid will drop that little bit deeper and go into a defensive mode, but they are a threat on the counter-attack. And I just think it might be Atleti's day. So I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory for the away team.